Study Section 4. Figures of Speech. Introduction. Our aim in this study section is to acquire insights into figurative language and the use of figure of speech in English poetry. Learning outcomes. When you have studied this section, you should be able to point out and use correctly figurative devices. Figurative use of language. In understanding a poem, the literal use of words, that is, their dictionary or denotative meanings, as well as their symbolic meanings, are very important ways of arriving at their actual meaning. In poetry, it is common to find writers depart from the common usage of words in order to emphasize a point or to make a familiar idea appear strange, or an old idea look fresh. X. J. Kennedy and Dana Gioia, 2007, 110, explained that figurative language occurs when a poet employs the use of words beyond the ordinary to stand for ideas. It is important to note that all figures of speech use language to emphasize different things, contrast, comparison, and to achieve musical effects. Wherever they appear, they draw attention to an idea. Figures of speech are metaphorical language, rhetorical devices, and connotative use of language. Lord Tennyson's poem, The Eagle, is a case in point. He clasps the crag with crooked hands, close to the sun in lonely days. Ringed with astral world he stands. The wrinkled sea beneath him crawls. He watches from his mountain walls, and like a thunderbolt he falls. The poem above is rich in personification and images. For example, the eagle is said to have crooked hands instead of claws, and it is able to stand, crawl, and fall. The sea is also said to be wrinkled. These human abilities are transferred to the bird, and through implied comparison, the poet establishes a link between the bird's ability to grab things and human ability to hold things firmly. The poem is also rich in images, such as tactile, as in claps with crooked hands, and an auditory, as in like a thunderbolt he falls. Hints. Figures of speech discussed in this study section have been classified according to their areas of emphasis. Comparative devices. Simile. A figure of speech in which two things that are not similar are compared and connected through the use of as or like. The use of the connective establishes the resemblance between them. For example, the man is innocent as a dove. Metaphor is a device where one thing is said to be another, thereby establishing some similarity between them. It is an implied comparison. For example, Lola is a beast. Mentomy is a device where a thing is substituted for another to which it is closely associated or identified. An object with which one thing is closely associated may be used to name it. For example, teacher may be substituted for chalk, student for book, king for crown, and by saying the chalk was air, one could mean the teacher was air. Personification. This is figurative expression in which an idea or thing or an object is given human qualities or characteristics. In this example, the wishing wind raised beyond measures. The wind is endowed with both the human quality of whistling and raising. Synecdoche. The use of a part of a thing to represent the whole of that thing. For example, more hands are needed for the job means more people are required to complete the work. Contrastive devices. Oxymoron is the juxtaposition of two contrasting words in line of a poem in order to suggest an idea that seems contradictory. Traveling abroad was a bitter-sweet experience for the man. The words bitter and sweet are placed side by side as indicators of two contrastive experiences. Antithesis is the device in which two words, ideas, phrases, sentences, or paragraphs are used in a poem in order to establish a contrast between them. The ideas, word phrases, sentence, and paragraphs are not placed side by side, but are contrasted in order to heighten the effect of a statement. For example, what happened to a dream deferred? Does it dry up? Like a raisin in the sun, or foster like a soul? Does it sink like a rotten meat? Or crust and sugar over, like a syrup sweet? Langston Hughes, dreams deferred. The expression rotten meat contrasts with syrup sweet. It should be noted that they are found in the first and last lines of the second stanza. Paradox is a figurative device in which two ideas that are obviously contradictory to one another contain some truth. At first reading, such ideas seem confusing, but on a closer look are seen to contain some truth. For example, heard melodies are sweet, but those unheard are sweeter. John Keats, Ode on a Grecian Urn. Hyperbole is a figure in which deliberate exaggeration is used for the sake of emphasis. For example, had we but word enough and time, I would love you 10 years before the flood. Thine eyes and on thy forehead gaze, 200 to adore each breast, an age at least to every part. Andre Maswell, to his call mistress. Irony, in bracket verbal. This is a figure in which a writer says one thing but means the opposite. For example, a discrepancy of meaning is wedding. She is a worldly woman all her life. What's more, she had 5 husbands, all at the church doorstep. Geoffrey Chaucer, The General Prologue. From the above lines, one can observe the incongruity between the meaning of worldly and the act of having 5 husbands. Allusive devices. Apostrophe. Apostrophe is a direct address to an object or a person, or an abstract thing that is not present, if they are there. For example, farewell, dear child of my right hand, enjoy. My sin was too much hope of thee, loved boy. 7 years thou wert lent to me, and I prayed thee. On My First Son by Ben Jonson. A direct address is made to the dead child of Ben Jonson in the above lines. Allusion. Allusion is a brief reference to a thing, person, or place. It is sometimes indirect, and it could be real or imagined. For instance, when also Zephyrus, in his sweet breath, exhales an air in every groove and earth. Chaucer, The General Prologue. Zephyrus is a classical figure, so there is an instance of classical allusion in the lines above. 4. Linguistic devices. Inversion is the rearrangement of the usual sentence order E.g., much have I traveled in the realms of gold, instead of I have traveled much in the realm of gold. John Keats, on first looking into Chapman's Homer. Allegory is a narrative in verse that has two levels of meaning, literal and symbolic. The literal events point to symbolic ideas. The literal level tells the surface story, while the symbolic consists of persons, place, or things with a deeper level of meaning. Symbol: a person, object, or place in a poem that suggests meaning beyond the literal level. The meanings associated with a symbol may be many. They may also be personalized or universalized symbols. Diction. Diction is a choice of words in a piece of poem. It could be specific, concrete, general, or abstract. Specific diction describes objects or conditions that are exact and particular. Concrete choice of words refers to ideas that are easily perceived and imagined, while abstract dictions involves words that are theoretical in nature. General dictions refer to broad categories of people, ideas, and situations. In English, there are 4 levels of diction. These are vulgate, general, formal, and colloquial. Compare the stanzas of A.E. Housman's and Richard Eberhardt's poem below. Loveless of trees, the cherry now, A.E. Housman. Loveless of trees, the cherry now, is hung with bloom along the bough, and stand about the woodland ride, wearing white for Easter ride. You would think the fury of aerial bombardment by Richard Eberhardt. You would think the fury of aerial bombardment would rouse God to relent the infinite spaces. Are still silent, he looks on chalk pride faces. History even does not know what is meant. In the first poem, concrete situations are evoked and specific objects, such as trees, are described, while in the second one, abstract time is referred to in the expression infinite space. It is impossible to imagine what exactly the infinite spaces refer to in the interlaced expressions. Besides, diction could also be formal and informal. Formal diction on the one hand is one that is written according to the structure of grammar, uses words that are complex, and shows evidence of derivations from Greek, French, and Latin words. Informal diction, on the other hand, is the opposite of all of this. In addition, it includes jargons, idiomatic expressions, and others that may not be grammatically correct. 5. Musical devices. Pun. A play on words. One word is substituted for another with a similar or identical sound, but of very different meaning. E.g., the song was sung in the sun. Parallelism. The repetition of similar or identical structural patterns in phrases, clauses, or sentences. The emphasis here is on the repeated structure. E.g., I can, I will, I may. This is a structure of subjects and predicates. Here the parallels are perfect, but there are other varieties as well. It may be the repetition of a sentence structure. E.g., my mouth doth water, and my light doth shine. Assonance is a figure of speech where 2 or more vowel sounds are repeated in successive words. This creates a rhyme. For instance, Blake breaks the snaking flakes. Alliteration is the repetition of 2 or more consonant sounds in successive words in a poem. For instance, terrible trouble. Rhymes are 2 or more words with identical or similar vowel sounds. It could be at the beginning, initial, or ends of the lines, or it could be on every other line, alternate. One morn I missed him on the costume hill, along the heath and near his favorite tree. Another came, nor yet beside the rail, nor up the lawn, nor at the wood was he. Elegy, written in a country churchyard by Thomas Gray. The above stanzas shows the use of alternate rhymes. E rhymes with real and tree with e. Rhythm is the recurrence of sounds or flow or words or phrases or movements of thoughts. It is also discussed as pattern of stressed and unstressed syllables. The flow of ideas is divided into units called full. Meter is used in poetry to achieve rhythm. Scansion is the act of determining the prevailing rhythmic pattern and poetic characteristics of a poem. According to Kennedy and Jewell, 2003-613, it involves separating the metric feet, counting the syllables, marking the accents, and indicating the pauses to be able to determine the prevailing rhythm in a poem. One needs an understanding of the meter. Meter is the regular pattern of rhythm, that is, recurring sounds, in poetry. In English poetry, rhythm involves the arrangement of stressed and unstressed syllables. When rhythm occurs in poetry at regular intervals, then it is called meter. Meters are identified by the arrangement of syllables in their feet or units. Feet in poetry are the unit of measurement in meter. It is made of one or two syllables. It must be emphasized that getting the right meter in poetry depends on putting the right stress on the right word. Non-native speakers of English have often found this difficult. Many put a stress where they ought not to be, and this makes it impossible to get the pattern of meter. Types of pattern of meter. 1. Iamb is a metrical fruit in English poetry in which one unstressed syllable is followed by one stressed syllable, e.g. a cat. A/rise. 2. Trochee, a metrical fruit in which one stressed syllable is followed by an unstressed syllable, e.g. well/come. Some/ma, summer. Co/rose, chorus. 3. Dactyl. This is a pattern in which one stressed syllable is followed by two unstressed syllables, e.g. paramount. 4. Anapest. This is a metrical fruit in which two unstressed syllables are followed by one stressed syllables, as in the expression in my art. Art is stressed syllables, e.g. photography. 5. Sponde. This is made up of two unstressed syllables, e.g. my name. 6. Amphoral. This is one stressed syllable between two unstressed syllables, e.g. Jehovah. The italic syllables carry the stress in the examples provided. A foot is usually made up of one or two syllables. Each foot makes up the unit in a meter. 1. Monometer. This is made up of 1 foot. 2. Diameter. This is made up of 2 feet. 3. Trimeter. This is made up of 3 feet. 4. Tetrameter. This is made up of 4 feet. 5. Pentameter. This is made up of 5 feet. 6. Hexameter. This is made up of 6 feet. Image. Image suggests anything that can be imagined. In poetry, images generally mean a word or sequence of words that refer to any sensory experience. Often, this experience is a sight, visual, as in the apparition of the faces in the crowd, petals as a wet black both, in a station of the metro, extra pound. At other times, it may be a sound, in bracket auditory, as in the booming of bomb and the slamming of the door, frightening the people. It may also appeal to the reader's sense of touch, tactile, as a perception of roughness or smoothness. It may be a bodily sensation, such as pain, the prickling of goose flesh, as in the piercing chill I feel, my dead wife's comb in our bedroom, under my heel, Aiku by Taniguchi Bunsen. It may also be that of taste, in bracket gutastry, as in sweet white wine, cinnamon, or smell, in bracket olfactory, as in the air was filled with excretal odor mixed with the smell of fadei, alamander, and rose, or motion kinetic, as in the rushing of the water through the deep gullies in the mountain caused the erosion. Images are references that move the mind to recollect various events, which help the readers to create mental pictures of what was expressed. They may be literal, that is, descriptive and pictorial, and metaphorical, or figurative and suggestive. Study section summary. In this study section, we have examined the figures of speech that are essential for understanding and appreciating poetry. We have also discussed metrical patterns in English poetry. The figure of speech would be applied in subsequent lectures. End of study section 4. Thanks for listening.